Can you just distinguish then? You talk a lot about the separate self. Other people know it as the ego, the thinker of our thoughts, whatever however you want to define it. Can you just explain what the difference is between individuality, the mind, and the so-called or the illusory separate self?
Okay, individuality, the mind, and the separate self. Let's start with the mind, the finite mind. That is the collection of thinking, feeling, sensing, and perceiving that each of us feels ourselves to be. I would suggest that that is a localization of infinite consciousness within infinite consciousness, from whose perspective or through whose agency it perceives its own activity as the universe. So, in fact, there is no real entity called a finite mind. A finite mind is not a bounded entity in reality. There are no bounded entities in reality. There is just one unlimited whole whose nature is consciousness. So, just like a thought is not a bounded entity in your own mind, it is a process in your own mind that is not clearly defined. So each of our finite minds are not really bounded entities within the universal consciousness. It is let's just say a cluster, a localization of thinking and perceiving. And as such, it is not problematic. It is simply the means through which the universe perceives itself in the form that we perceive it. So the finite mind is not synonymous with what is commonly referred to as the separate self or the ego. The separate self or the ego would be the belief that that finite mind defines who we are.
Exactly.
So they're two different things. The finite mind is just the impersonal functioning of thinking and perceiving that each of us feels we are from the inside. One such thought of this impersonal functioning of thinking and perceiving, one such instance of thinking is the belief, I am this discrete, independently existing entity. That's the ego or the separate self. And it is on behalf of that one that suffering arises on the inside, conflict arises on the outside, and by extension, the degradation and the exploitation of the earth. The individuality is present in both cases. In other words, the individuality can be used either in the service of ignorance or in service of truth. When I say ignorance, I don't mean that pejoratively. I mean the ignoring of the nature of reality. So individual can be informed by and an expression of the belief in the separate self, and the individual. Such an individual brings conflict, misunderstanding, and so on into the world. The same individuality can be used in the service of love and understanding. Although that would be the relationship between those three.